Now, the entrance of Ramadan can be witnessed by one witness alone. So if only one man comes and says, I was in the desert and I saw the new moon. It was born a couple of hours ago. The judge investigates with him and says, where did you see it? Which direction? And how did it look? Where was it pointing? Once he verifies that he's telling the truth, his testimony is accepted. One man. However, the end of Ramadan, when we are looking for the new moon of Shawwal, the following month, so that it would be Eid, then we require two witnesses. The testimony of two witnesses is required and not only one. If only one comes forward, we do not accept his testimony and we wait until we finish Ramadan for 30 days as per the Sunnah. Now, what are the conditions of being obligatory to fast the month of Ramadan? So, number one, to be a Muslim, which means that if a Jew or a Christian fasts the month of Ramadan, just because everyone else is fasting, that would not be accepted, and it is not something that they would be rewarded for. Condition number two, to be an adult, meaning that to reach the age of puberty. So if a child that did not reach the age of puberty fast, then that's good, and he'd be rewarded. But if he did not fast, it is not mandatory upon him, and we don't say that you have to make it up. Number three, being of a sound mind. So if a person who's insane, he's not obliged to fast. And even if this insane person did not eat or drink, it would not be accepted from him because he doesn't have his mind. He's not sane. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that the pen of accountability has been lifted from three, and one of them is a person who is insane until he comes back to his senses. Number four, to be a residing person and not traveling. And this means that a person who's traveling is not obliged to fast. Yes, once he comes back, he has to make up for these days missed, but it's not obligatory for him to fast. Number five, the ability to fast. So someone who's unable to fast, whether due to illness or traveling, then he is not obliged to fast, because Allah says, and whoever is ill or on a journey, then an equal number of other days, meaning to make them up. Number six, the absence of obstacles that prevent a person from fasting. And these usually obstacles are referring to a woman being in her menses or in the state of postpartum bleeding. So if she is in that state, even if she fasts, her fast is invalid, because the Prophet ﷺ ordered women to do so. The Prophet asked, isn't it that when a woman is in her menses, she doesn't pray and she doesn't fast? So this is a clear indication that a woman in her menses or in her postnatal bleeding should not fast, and if she does, that would not be accepted from her. Now, having said that, it is important to know that the fast is divided into two types, as we said before: obligatory fasting and voluntary fasting. And the obligatory fasting is either its obligation comes from Allah Azza wa Jal, such as the obligation to fast Ramadan, or either it's due to something that I have done by myself, or as a consequence of something I've done, such as taking an oath. If Allah saves my son from this illness, I will fast for 7 days. I obligated this upon myself, so it becomes mandatory. Or as a consequence, if I did a particular sin, I have to fast 3 days, or I have to fast 2 consecutive months, such as the expiation or the penalty for killing someone by mistake is to fast 2 consecutive months. So this is an obligation upon me to do so. The other voluntary fast is something that Islam recommends us to do. And this is similarly to fasting Mondays and Thursdays, but